Hello, I'm Anne, a 28-year-old woman. I'll just jump straight into these events because a lot happened and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I met my husband Saul at college. We were in our first years and we shared the same electives. We started talking about a month after we started sharing the same elective, and we found out that we shared a lot of things in common. We had the same ideals and believed in the same values. We also shared a similar sense of humor and a lot of favorite media. The point is, we fell in love pretty fast. We dated for around 5 years before deciding that we wanted to get married. While both of us were very satisfied with each other, Saul's mother, Janet, was not. She hated me instantly. Keep in mind, the first time I met her, we met at a restaurant. I made sure that I dressed and behaved appropriately. She still took it upon herself to belittle me and make fun of me the entire time. Saul's father, William, kept trying to shut Janet up, but she remained silent for a few minutes before getting back to talking badly about me. I remember asking Saul if I did something wrong to his mother after the first time I met her. "Saul, did I do or say something that your mom didn't like?" "Absolutely not. I was just going to apologize for her crappy behavior. I really am sorry she said all that. You didn't deserve that." "Why do you think she was being so mean?" "I know this isn't an excuse in any way, but this could just be a plausible reason. I'm the only boy in my family, and she's always had a soft spot for me. I guess maybe that's why." "Even if that's the case, shouldn't your happiness be the one thing she wants? I mean, I make you happy, right?" "Of course, my love. I wish I could explain to you why my mother behaved that way, but I can't. Although I can tell you that no matter what she says or does, it will never change the way I feel about you." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. You're the best thing that has ever happened to me. I'd be crazy to ever let you go." I felt reassured after that. We continued to be happy with each other. Of course, Janet kept trying to say things against me, but Saul would always stand up for me. Janet didn't like that, and that only made her hate me more. I learned to just ignore her over the years. Janet's hatred for me only got worse after Saul and I got married, but instead of having to deal with her constantly, we decided to go low contact with her. For the next few years, we only saw Janet at family gatherings and on birthdays. That, of course, never stopped her from belittling me whenever we saw each other. But I ignored her always. Aside from that, life was going really great. As the saying goes, all good things come to an end. Things started to go downhill when I got a promotion at work. The promotion involved putting in extra work for a whopping 50% increase in pay. I didn't mind the extra hours, but I knew that it would be wrong of me to make a big decision like that by myself. I discussed it with Saul, and both of us agreed that it would be a smart move to make. We didn't have kids to worry about, and it would have benefited our household. And so I began working longer and harder hours. Whenever I came back home, I would be way too tired to function. At first, Saul was very caring and loving. He would have a bath prepared for me and a hot meal waiting. Obviously, with the shift in my schedule, there came a shift in how we divided our house chores. Earlier, I would get back home before Saul, so I would make the meal. But now the duty shifted to him. Of course, with the tiredness came the need for rest. I spent a lot of my weekends just laying and resting in bed. The rest of the weekend was spent cleaning up the house, doing laundry, and going grocery shopping. Every other weekend, Saul and I would go on a date. I tried my best to create a good balance between my professional and personal life. Everything was going pretty well until I was given a huge project to manage. This project alone would boost our company to another level, and I was given the responsibility of handling it and making sure that it produced the best results. The project required me to spend quite a few late nights at work. Saul's behavior didn't change at first, as in he was still the same caring and loving husband, but as the weeks wore on, I began to notice a change in his behavior. Another thing I began to notice was the increased visits that Janet had begun to make at our place. She would be there every time I came back home, but she would leave immediately after. After she would leave, Saul's mood would be pretty sour and low. For a week, I tried talking to him for an entire week, but he never budged. I figured he needed some time and just let him be. I poured myself into work and didn't even make it back home some nights for the next week and a half. That only seemed to make Saul's behavior worse, so I had an inkling about what was happening. The next weekend, I decided to set my foot down and confront Saul about what was going on. "Saul, what's going on?" "It's nothing." "It's not nothing. You're behaving very differently." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are, and you know it too. Lying won't get you out of this conversation. Tell me what's wrong." "How would you know what's wrong when all you've been doing is staying out late?" "Is that what this is all about?" "Yes, obviously. You're never home anymore, and whenever you are, all you can think about is work or you're sleeping." "Well, yes, you know how exhausting work is for me. I don't have it in me to do anything else right now. Plus, right now and for the next few weeks, I'll be busy for a long time on this one particular project." "Yeah, a project that requires you to not come back home and do God knows what with God knows who." "Are you trying to say something?" "If you are, say it clearly. Don't play with me." "All I'm saying is that you've been spending way too many nights at work." "So you're basically accusing me of cheating?" "I didn't say that." "Oh, no, but you are saying exactly that. You know what? Why don't you just track all my movements from now on? I'll share my location with you at all times, and I'll make sure to send you pictures from wherever I am. Actually, I'll do you one better. I'll pin a GPS tag on me so you know where I am at all times." "You don't need to lash out." "How can I not? My own husband is accusing me of cheating on him. You see just how exhausted I am after work every day, and you still think I'm cheating on you? You know what? I can't deal with you right now." I was furious. I couldn't believe that Saul could think such horrendous things about me. If I truly was cheating on him, why would I choose to do it on days that I'm working when I could easily utilize my free weekends? Surely that's more time than the hour or two that I have for breaks. I left Saul at home and rushed over to my best friend Kelsey's house. She was surprised to see me because it had been a while since we saw each other, but welcomed me nonetheless. I told her about everything that was happening, and we decided that the best course of action in the moment would be for me to calm down. I didn't want to do anything that could hurt Saul or my relationship with him in my anger. I needed to approach my situation with caution and care. Deep down, I knew that what he felt was valid to a certain extent. I had been spending a lot less time with him ever since I got handed my new project. I felt guilty about it, and I knew that I had to make amends for it. At the same time, to immediately jump to the conclusion that I was cheating was atrocious. It took me about 10 minutes to gather myself. I cried a little because of how hurt I was, but when I had calmed down, Kelsey and I began to talk about it properly. "So, what led to all this happening?" "I mean, I get why it happened. I've been out too late and we haven't been spending much time together." "That's fair, but don't you think that accusing you of cheating is taking things a bit too far? He could have gently talked to you about it instead of jumping the gun." "That's true. I just don't know what to do about all this. I've done nothing to even imply that I've been cheating, other than me working late, of course, but even then. He knows just how disgusted I feel about cheating, so for him to think of me doing something like that is upsetting as hell." "I bet. Do you think something must have happened for him to think that?" "What do you mean?" "I don't know, like maybe he was watching things that made him overthink your activities and behavior, or someone was telling him something and that's why he thought that you were cheating." You know, now that you mention it, I have been seeing Janet at our place a lot more often now. Oh, doesn't she hate you? More than anything. I bet she's been feeding him this nonsense. Absolutely. Although I do have to say that you and Saul need to talk, because if it took this little for Saul to view you negatively, there's something wrong happening. I agree. I need to find out what Janet is trying to do, though. There was no doubt in my mind at that point that Janet was involved in that situation. The way that she would glare at me when she walked out of the house and the drop in Saul's mood only confirmed my suspicions. I knew that Saul wouldn't openly believe her, or even if he did, he wouldn't act on it without proof. So I knew that she would try to do something to get evidence. I just needed to keep myself alert for whatever it was. When I got back home, Saul refused to talk to me. I was sure that he thought that I had just gone to my lover's place, but I was too emotionally drained at that point to care. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I heard Saul on a call with his mother. The phone was on speaker, and I could hear everything she was saying. I told you that she was good for nothing, but you never listened to me. I love her, okay? Clearly, she didn't love you back enough. She had one big fight with you, and she just went straight into another man's arms. We don't know that. Ugh, you can't even say it with any confidence. She looked so hurt and upset when I told her I thought she was cheating on me. I mean, she did make a good point about being too tired from work to even cheat. Cheaters always find a way to cheat. Don't get fooled by her reasoning. I still have no proof of anything, so I can't even decide on what I want to believe. You don't need to worry about that. I've taken care of it already. Taken care of it? What do you mean? I hired a private investigator to go after her. He'll go everywhere she goes, and he'll get us our evidence. Isn't that a little too much? Nothing is too much when it comes to exposing Anne. Just you wait and see. She'll be begging for forgiveness once we have that proof. So that was what she had intended to do. It felt jarring to hear her talking to Saul that way, and him barely defending me. I guess I messed up by not devoting much time to the two of us, considering how Saul would always defend me from her before. I knew then and there that I needed to do something to get back the man I loved. I needed to get some dirt on Janet. The next week, I kept an eye out for whoever was following me. It wasn't that hard. Everywhere I went, there was this one red car parked just a little away from me. The first few times I spotted it, I thought it was a coincidence I was seeing the same type of red car. And then I memorized the number plate of the car and realized that it was the same one. I didn't want Janet to know that I was in on her plan, but I needed the tables turned. One night, while I was staying back at work, I decided to go downstairs to where the car was parked. It was pretty late, and the man inside was asleep. Janet really knew how to pick a good PI. I didn't care that he was not a good PI. In fact, I had a feeling that it would only work in my favor. I approached his car and knocked on his window. The man was startled awake, and his eyes widened when he saw me. I mentioned for him to roll down his windows. I asked him what his name was, and he reluctantly told me that it was Todd. Hey, Todd, I've noticed that you've been following me around for quite a while now. Oh, it's nothing like that. Then why have you been parked here every night that I'm in the office and only leave when I leave? Sometimes I even see you parked a little away from my house. It's all just coincidence. Save it. I know you're Anne's PI. Please don't tell her that you found out. I owe her a favor, and that's the only reason I took this on. She'd make me do more work for her if I failed at this, and I really want to be done with her. All right then. I want you to double-cross her. Double-cross? Yeah, I want you to collect dirt on her instead. Did she tell you what she planned to do with the evidence she got from you? Oh yeah. She went on a whole rant about it. She told me that your anniversary was coming up in a month and she was going to throw you guys a party and reveal it there in front of everyone. Wow, she was that sure about me cheating, huh? Anyway, I want you to find out whatever you can about her and give that evidence to her so she can expose it at the party. Keep up the pretense that you're looking into me. What do I do if she asks for updates? Tell her you're busy and that you're working on it, but you've found some things. All right. Thank you so much for not telling her a thing. I know how horrible she is. I understand your pain. It was actually pretty funny to see the very PI that Janet had hired was so against her. I didn't actually think that Todd would find anything, but knowing that he wasn't actively spying on me the way that Janet wanted was a satisfying feeling, although I couldn't believe just how much faith Janet had in me cheating. She wanted to humiliate me, and I couldn't help but feel like Saul also wanted that. Of course, I had no way of knowing at that point whether Saul knew about her plans, but the thought of him knowing and agreeing to publicly humiliate me hurt me like crazy. So I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. I figured since Janet had already hired a PI without Saul's knowledge, she wouldn't have told him about the surprise anniversary party. Saul and I's relationship didn't get any better or any worse in that month. We didn't speak much to each other, but there were still moments when we let each other know that we cared for them. He would still always have a hot meal ready for me, and I would make sure to buy him all his favorite treats, and once a week I would bring home his favorite dessert from his favorite restaurant. Even though no words were spoken, there was an understanding that we just needed time to sort through our emotions. Saul and I did talk from time to time, but never broached the topic of me cheating. And I was okay with that. I knew that I just had to wait for our anniversary to come, and then things would get sorted out on their own. Finally, the time came for our anniversary. Janet called us very early in the morning to come over to her place for brunch. Saul seemed confused when she asked us to come over, and that only made my suspicion about him not knowing her plans even more solid. We got ready and headed over. Once we got there, we noticed a lot more cars. Turns out she invited my parents, my siblings and their families, and Saul's siblings and his family. Saul seemed very surprised yet happy to see everyone. We put aside our issues to maintain a facade in front of the rest of our family. Even though I knew that Janet had gathered everyone there to humiliate me, it felt really nice to spend time with them. We had brunch, and the table was full of chatter and laughter. After lunch was over, Janet announced that she had something to show everyone. We huddled into the living room where she plugged the USB in. She prefaced her little surprise by telling us that for the longest time she had always hated me. She wanted nothing more than the best for Saul, and she went out of her way to find information about me cheating on him. You could hear a pin drop in the room at that point. The entire mood shifted at that point. Everyone was uncomfortable. I felt Saul tense up beside me, but I remained calm. She called on me and told me since I was the one that was cheating, I needed to be the one that showed everyone the evidence. I confidently walked up to the TV while Janet walked over to where I was seated next to Saul. She smirked at me as I opened a file called Evidence, and as soon as the first picture loaded, I felt the same shock that everyone in the room experienced. The first picture was of Janet and some other man kissing at a bar. I continued to go through the rest of the pictures, and they only showed various other places that Janet had gone to with the same man, including her house. Janet had grown pale while everyone else looked at her in disgust. I felt the worst for William. He looked angry and sad at the same time. When we finally got to the end of all the pictures, the room was silent for a minute before William finally spoke up. "What is this, Janet?" First of all, you sought to expose Anne for cheating on Saul. Why would you put her through something like that? I only wanted the best for Saul. Or you just wanted to humiliate Anne because you don't like her. Saul is just your sorry cover. Not to mention you tried to expose her for cheating when you're the one doing it. Do you not see how much of a hypocrite you're being? That was not supposed to happen. I don't know how, but I just know that Anne has done something here. I didn't do anything. You tried to ruin my relationship, so I had no time to involve myself in your shenanigans when I was busy with work and fixing my relationship. Don't lie. What did you do? Stop trying to pass off your problem to Anne. Stop doing what you did with Saul. Your truth is out. So own up to it. She knew I hated her. She did this to humiliate me. I don't see an issue with it, when that was exactly what you were trying to do as well. So, you believe me, right? You know that she has been cheating on you, right? I don't think so anymore. I feel pathetic that I even listened to you. You almost destroyed the best thing I've ever had because of your selfishness. I never want to see or hear from you again. You will have exactly 1 month to move out of this house. I'll have the divorce papers handed to you before that. I couldn't believe how well things worked out in my favor. A few days later, with a little bit of research, I managed to find Todd. I told him about the outcome and he told me that he had already found out. Janet had called him to yell at him, but he simply told her that he had done his favor for her and hung up and blocked her. Todd also told me that he had never taken his work more seriously than when he found out that Janet was the one who was cheating. I will admit that it made me laugh a little too loud. William and Janet got divorced shortly after. William has been a bit of a mess, but that is expected considering that his 20-year marriage was broken. But Saul and I made sure that we were there with him at every moment that we had. On nights that I was busy, Saul would stay over with his dad just to slowly ease him into being alone. Janet moved out, but not without trying to choke me. Thankfully, William and Saul held her back and I wasn't harmed. As for Saul and I, we're doing great. Saul has apologized profusely for ever suspecting me. Of course, it took some time to fully forgive him and forget what had happened, but we agreed to go for couples counseling. We've slowly been sorting through all our issues for the past month, and I feel like our relationship has never been stronger. If there's one thing that I think I've learned through all this, it's to always make sure that you tell the people you love how much you love and appreciate them. Thank you for listening.